Welcome to your headquarters for knowledge and helpful advice on a variety of topics, all from trusted experts in their fields. It's time for River City Podcast. Kristin Peck is a highly skilled technical medical artist with 18 years of proven results and success in the medical industry as a sales professional and trainer. She's won numerous awards, recognitions, and has superior recommendations. Kristin opened DermaHue in 2016 and started doing areola tattoos soon after. Realizing a huge need for this service, she officially opened the Areola Restoration Center in 2022 with the goal to fully support and service women who have undergone surgery as a result of breast cancer. Kristin Peck, welcome back to River City Podcast.
Well, thank you for having me, Jess.
Let's start out sharing a little bit about this journey of yours that got you to the DermaHue Total Wellness Studio that we know today.
It's been about 8.5 years, and I started in a room that was probably 9 by 12 feet, and I started with permanent makeup. I left corporate, and I decided to do something for myself, to reinvent myself. So I started with permanent makeup and areola restoration for breast cancer survivors.
And we have progressed all the way to the point of what is called a total wellness studio. So in addition to the permanent makeup, we have weight loss, body contouring, women's health, which includes hormone replacement therapy, beautifying services. I want to take this step by step so people can truly understand everything that they can do kind of in a one-stop shop. And we're all so incredibly busy that I think a lot of women are kind of running here for one thing and here for another thing. To be able to kind of get everything in one place is really a time saver value, I think, for a lot of people. So let's start with the body contouring. And that's a term that I only really started hearing a couple years ago. Can you just kind of even define what body contouring is and then how Evolve Transform comes into play with that?
So we paired up with InMode, which is a medical device company that does aesthetic devices. And Evolve X, it does body contouring, but it's not where you walk in a machine and you come out looking like 20 sizes smaller.
Dang it.
No, right? That would be pretty awesome. It's for that individual that you're happy with your body, but you have that area that you really want to work on, and there are no amount of sit-ups that's going to take the baby pudge off, no amount of stair steppers that's going to get rid of that little extra side thigh fat that grandma gave you. What this device does is it will build and tighten muscle, it will burn body fat, and it will tighten skin in one treatment. When you're tightening skin, it's important to understand that you're only going to get that through heat. So that's what it does. It heats up the dermal layers, which tightens the skin. When a fat cell gets to about 42.5 degrees Celsius for a specific amount of time, it will disrupt that fat cell. So those are all revolving around heat. But the other part of the Evolve is electric muscle stimulation. So that is where we're stimulating that muscle to contract. So one 45-minute session is like doing 2 weeks of abs. So if we're looking on your abdominal area, it's a time commitment. It's about 45 minutes of treatment, and they recommend 6 treatments once a week, approximately. But it can be done anywhere where we can get the hand pieces on. Abdominal area, the back of the arms, the back of the thighs, the front of the thighs. It's very, very comfortable. Pretty much anybody can do it. One of the few contraindications is going to be somebody that has like a pacemaker.
And could they theoretically come in for that 45 minutes and have their laptop and be able to work while it's happening?
Oh, absolutely. I've done that.
Wait, why aren't we doing it right now?
Exactly. There have been a couple of times where my car's out front and the lights are off. It's because I'm in a room and I have it hooked up to my thighs and it's very comfortable, but I get work done. So absolutely, the rooms are very, very comfortable. We have quite a few women that are busy and they multitask, but isn't that what we always do? We always multitask.
Well, and what I love about this, I actually talked to a plastic surgeon once who was explaining pregnancy in women and saying that the muscles in your abdomen actually kind of get shifted around, and it can create that kind of roundness after pregnancy that you can't really get rid of because everything's shifted, and that option would be surgical. So it's like you have all these great things going on at DermaHue that do not involve surgery.
Absolutely. And pregnancy, we've had some clients come in, but another thing is you work and work and work, and you are on a diet and you get to your goal weight, but you look in the mirror naked and you're like, wait a minute.
I'm still not happy.
It doesn't look like it did.
Yeah.
So if there are areas that you need to focus on, this really is the technology that will do it. It is FDA approved. And whenever we say a device is FDA approved, that means it is clinically proven to do exactly what it says it's going to do and that it is safe.
That's really a great differentiator, because I think that a lot of people just don't understand that. And you might save a couple dollars to go into a situation that's actually, not going to do anything for you and could potentially be dangerous.
There are a lot of Me Too devices out there. And when we say Me Too, they say, oh, we do radio frequency, but they're not all consistent. I always tell my clients, look, if you have any questions, go directly to the company website. They will have all the documentation, all the studies, all the data is clinically backed up. That's the difference between a company like InMode or the devices that we have versus devices at some other facilities that you have no idea where they've been made. You've never heard of them before. So I always tell everyone, just be careful.
Well, and a lot of people are trying to order things that claim to do stuff like this, like off literally Amazon.
Oh, you are not kidding.
And, getting burned or hurt or whatever, or just nothing happening. So for beautifying services, you also do injections. Can you tell us a little bit about the types of fillers and injections you guys are offering?
We use Xeomin and Botox. It depends on what a client wants. My clients, they'll come in and they'll say, oh, what about these lines? Well, depending on the type of line, whether it's going to be a filler or it's going to be a tox itself. When you look at something like a Botox or a Xeomin, you're looking at mechanical lines like the forehead because you're squinting or you're scowling. I personally was turned on to a Botox years ago when I was walking up to my car and I saw my reflection in the side window and I was like,
who is that?
Oh my gosh. And it was the sun was bothering my eyes. I have really pale eyes that I was scowling because of the sun, and I always had low-grade headaches. So when my doctor said, hey, why don't you try Botox? And literally it relaxed those muscles and I did not get those low-grade headaches anymore. And I got to stay line-free.
Yes.
So that's why I personally am a fan of it. As far as filler, with our nurse practitioner, we have the mindset of be very conservative. You don't want to go too much. We would rather do a little bit, have you come back in a couple weeks and do a little bit more. We do not charge for that second visit. If you've bought a syringe of filler, that syringe is yours. We would rather have it done little by little and make you feel comfortable and love your look so we can document it. And then when you come back again in a year and a half, we know exactly how to treat you.
Amazing. And lip filler, which for a lot of women, when they're aging, your lips tend to get a little bit thinner. Mm-hmm. And I love that as a great way to kind of add a little pop. So let's talk about Morpheus 8, because that is really something for those people that are having issues with their actual skin and different things that happen, not only with aging, but also in people that are more youthful. Tell us how that works.
So when we look at our younger client, usually it's genetics that they're not happy with. We have a young lady that she says she has the family gobbler. And she's ideal weight, in great shape, but she has a double chin, just like her aunt, her mother, her grandmother, and she does not like that submental volume. So with Morpheus 8, she's a perfect candidate for someone that's young. She doesn't need her skin tightened. But Morpheus, again, we talked about heat disrupting fat. It is microneedling that produces heat, and that layer of fat can go as deep as about 4 millimeters and disrupts the fat at the same time. Because she has that double chin, we want to make sure that we heat up that dermal layer to tighten the skin as well. So she's a great candidate for that. When we have our slightly older client and they're looking at the texture of the skin, it's thin, it's kind of crepey. Again, this is a perfect device because it's actually building the collagen. It does not happen overnight. We tell everyone all the time. Matter of fact, I saw a client come in today and she said that it's been, I guess, about 5.5, 6 months since her treatment. She said she is getting compliments all the time on her skin, and she's in her 70s. Her sister came in from Texas and said, I don't know what you're doing with your skin, but it's gorgeous. So it has tightened up her skin. It's made it so much smoother. That's a really great candidate for Morpheus 8 as far as someone that's a little older. Fine lines around the mouth, deeper nasolabial folds. We also use Morpheus 8 for the body. Again, we're looking at specific areas that are small, like around the tops of the knees. As we get older, lose a little weight, we get those cute little upside down wrinkles that we find every time we get a spray tan because when we sit down, we see the white line. So that's great for that. We have a lot of ladies coming in for their C-section scars with that little bit of body fat right around the C-section scar. We can address the body fat, and we also can work on making that scar look a lot better.
Amazing. So give us an idea. I know you can't say exactly how many treatments because it really depends on what's being treated, and that particular area is very personal for everybody. But would you say this is something that people might come in for once a month, once every 2 months? How often until they kind of get to where they want to be?
They recommend one treatment a month for 3 months. So you're looking at 3 treatments, and then a touch-up is going to be just one treatment, not a whole series of treatment, maybe once a year. We have clients that have gotten Morpheus somewhere else, and they're just coming to us for that one treatment. It's kind of a touch-up because I don't care what we do. We cannot stop the aging process, unfortunately. But we can make the skin appear younger. It's controlled damage, and we're making the body respond and repair itself. That's why it's repairing itself just better than ever.
So you mentioned women coming in for scars for their C-section, and I think that'll really resonate with a lot of people. How long a process is it for each treatment, each month that they would come in for that? About how long does that take?
It's funny, with C-section scars, a lot of my clients don't have feeling right on that C-section scar. So we might numb for, 15 minutes. If we're doing Morpheus 8, we're looking at 35 to 40 minutes numbing to make it completely comfortable. I have heard some really horror stories prior to us bringing in this device of how uncomfortable it was. But honestly, if you take the time and you numb and you do it properly, your client is going to be so much more comfortable and willing to come back to have it again.
Right.
Because I've heard stories where they refused to have another treatment because it was so uncomfortable. Now, with Morpheus 8, remember all the little bit of micro damage is under the skin. So literally you're walking out a little pink. The next day you're wearing makeup.
Yeah. So if it is somewhere that's visible.
Yeah, it's no downtime. It's fabulous.
So you also, as we're talking about skin, you also started an aesthetics division earlier this year offering skincare services with the amazing Melissa.
Oh, she's good.
Tell us about what services are being offered in that arena.
So, it's funny we're talking about all these different services, and, in the very beginning you said, oh, how did we get here? A perfect example, I constantly had clients asking for referrals for me to send to someone else. And every single service beyond the permanent makeup and the areolas was something I heard over and over again they wish we had. So that's why we brought in Melissa. She is a master esthetician. What I love about her is not every shoe fits on every foot. If you have a condition, I have seen her do research to find out that whatever protocol she recommends, that it is the right protocol for you specifically. Just because she does microneedling with a specific facial does not mean that one session matches another. If you have a different skin condition, she does work on the details. I think that's important.
So there's a variety of different facial options that she's providing?
Yes. So we do everything from microneedling to peels. And again, all peels aren't the same. We have an enzymatic peel that we can do during the summer. And most people think you can't do anything in the summer, but you can as long as it's gentle, to chemical peels, dermaplaning, light therapy. Just because you want to get away from the family and you want to lay down in a quiet room and have somebody pay you a little attention as far as making your skin feel good, you're relaxed. That's what she's all about.
I love it. And we'll provide the website for DermaHue at the end of this podcast, but there are some specials right now for the holidays for winter. Typically each season, they'll offer some nice specials for those facials. So check that out. So Kristin, you're doing some very specific things, very intentional for women's health. And I want to dive into that next, because this is something that I have not seen any medical spas offering yet in this area. Tell us about Empire RF by InMode, what it's doing for feminine wellness and how it works, etc.
They might not be talking about it, but there are a couple of facilities that offer it. But again, if you don't talk about it, then it's not going to be addressed. So I was at a conference and there was a 23-year-old young woman with 2 kids, and she suffered from incontinence so horribly that she was housebound. And that means she would not go out at all. Now, there are some surgical procedures that help with incontinence. And when you're thinking about that condition, you're thinking, a 75, 80-year-old woman, and that is not the case. The vast majority are in their 30s and 40s, and this is not something that people want to talk about. We just had someone come in today, and she's feeling so much better. She's doing a trampoline party because before she came in talking to us and said she couldn't do jumping jacks. She couldn't go on a run, and she's an athlete without having trickles. I mean, that's it. She would have to wear pads. And, it's something that needs to be spoken about. There's a lot of things that happen as a woman gets older
or has children.
And I've heard over and over the stories they have of talking to their PCPs. Oh, honey, that's just part of your life, and you have kids, and there are things you can do. I'm sorry, there's not enough soy in the world to help some of these conditions. And what I mean by that is everything from hormonal changes to physiological changes. So we look at a few things. We look at incontinence. We look at vaginal prolapse, just things that happen as our body changes. And it doesn't have to be that way. I talk about areolas all day. I will talk about vaginas too. I mean, we've got to talk about it. And can I tell you how many times women have broken down and said, I've talked to my GYN, I've talked to my primary care, my urologist, and no one wants to talk about this.
Well, and there's also benefits when it comes to sexual relationships.
Absolutely. It's emotional too.
So this is a procedure that you come into DermaHue. Obviously, it's very private. And about how long a procedure and how many treatments have you seen people needing?
It's still dependent on the condition and the severity. So we have a medical director and we have a nurse practitioner, and this is kind of their expertise. It's all about getting to know our client and finding out what their goals are and making sure that we set the expectation. I guess that's the best thing. Are we going to take care of everything 100%? Probably not. But I can tell you this, we will make it better. But we need to pretty much sit down and find out where we are. Again, that severity, where we are with that severity. Conditions itself, you're looking at probably, again, 3 treatments. I don't know if that's the magic number.
Yeah.
I keep on hearing.
Mm-hmm.
But you can do individual treatments as they go. At the end of the day, it's pretty minimal as far as invasiveness, and women nowadays do not want to have surgery. They do not want to have it. And there are so many other things that can go wrong with surgery. And even the women that I have met that have had surgical procedures, their expectation is not met.
And I did this procedure with Kristin and her team when they actually got the equipment in. I was the guinea pig, if you will, for training. And I will tell you, not only does it work great, but also it was really not uncomfortable. I mean, I've done a lot worse things that were uncomfortable. It was very comfortable. It's a very safe environment, definitely worth pursuing. And I also teach workout classes, and I can't even tell you how many women we do stationary jumping jacks, because when they actually jump, they do. And it's really very common. I think it's not an age thing as really as much as it is once you've had a couple kids.
Yep.
Just comes with the territory.
It does. When I talk to people, the look on their face, but then they go, yeah, That's an issue I have because no one wants to talk about it.
Right.
But when you're talking about something like this, we're talking quality of life. And that is so empowering. Again, it's the whole thing is empower.
Hence the name.
Exactly. But it is so empowering. These little tweaks that you have in your life make the quality of your life so much better.
Well, that is all super exciting for women in this market. And you have recently launched hormone replacement therapy at DermaHue. So tell us a little bit about that, when it's officially kicking off, and a little bit about hormone replacement therapy in general.
We've been looking at this for almost a year now. It's definitely not something you say, ooh, I'm going to do hormones. I mean, there's a lot of training and a lot of education that goes in effect. Our facility was certified about a month and a half ago, but it was up to 6 months, I think. We started in May that this was an idea that we wanted to go in that direction. You know, what I tell everyone is you don't lose hormones because you get old or age. You age because you're losing your hormones. You know, when we look at the main hormones for women, we're looking at estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. And so many times, I'd say 75% of the time, women are like, oh, testosterone, that's a male hormone. Absolutely not. It's not. When we're looking at estrogen and progesterone, you know, you look at the goal for those hormones is sexual development and also getting the baby factory up and running. I mean, that's women's health, you know, having children. But no one ever talks about testosterone. One of the things that happens is, one, our stress will burn through testosterone like nobody's business. When our hormones stop producing, then things like we end up getting osteoporosis, you know, our energy goes down, our sex drive goes down, we get body fat in places we've never thought we'd get body fat. Just some of the studies are showing women that start, you know, testosterone or hormone replacement, there's an increase in bone density by about 8.4% per year, which that's why they use it to treat anemia, because as your bone mineralizes, it makes more blood cells, which helps create more blood. And believe me, that's breaking it down. If you had Kelly here, my nurse practitioner, it would be over my head and everyone else's head. We have an executive client. She's only 41 years old, not in premenopause at all. Husband going through a very bad health scare. And every time I've seen her in the last couple months, dragging it. I looked at her, I said, I bet your testosterone is in the tank. She got her blood work done. Her estrogen and progesterone were right within normal limits. She had 0 testosterone, 0. Getting out of bed, she couldn't barely get out of bed. She was tired all the time, not sleeping at night. This is a hormone she needs. Without a doubt, this is a hormone she needs. And that misconception that it's a male hormone is not correct at all. The normal guidelines for testosterone, really, they're actually quite low. We're not looking for normal. We're looking for ideal. And that is what we focus on. So our program takes quite a bit in the very beginning. You're looking at 2.5 hours of office time just to get our clients on cruise control. There's not a doctor out there, primary care, that's going to spend 2.5 hours trying to figure out where your testosterone needs to be. But we are going to take that time. We are going to make sure that we have the blood tests in place and that we monitor you so we get it right where you need it so you feel better immediately.
And you also and I had a conversation kind of offline about this new development in offering hormone replacement therapy. And your goal was really to make it a little bit more affordable than a lot of places in this market, to try and make it attainable. Most women can attainably do this because it is so vital for their health.
It is so vital for their health. It's the same thing with our weight loss program. No one in town can touch us as far as price. They can't touch us as far as service as well. We do the 3D body scanner, and hormones and the weight loss are kind of going hand in hand because we have ladies that are so close to their goal weight, but really their hormones are off. And, you know, we will address not only testosterone, we will address progesterone and estrogen if you need it, if you're having symptoms where you need it. But I do have a client who is a reproductive psychiatrist. She read the same study I did, and the majority of women that present with depression actually have hormonal imbalances.
Wow.
I know. And she's like, I hate having to write a script when I know it's something else. That is what we're seeing. Women are so under stress nowadays, and they don't even realize how much stress is affecting their life. Stress will kill you. And if we can at least balance so you feel good, some people have gotten so used to feeling terrible they don't know what it's like to feel good.
It's normal for them, yeah. And there's never, I mean, I've never had a doctor ask me, let's test your testosterone levels.
Oh, or even your hormones in general. They
in
don't.
general, right.
They're like, you're past a child. You don't have any more
Are you
kids.
at 12 months without a period? Okay, that's it.
We're good. We're good. Yeah. So we see that, we see that all the time. I have another client, she's in her 60s and she has been on progesterone and estrogen for 20 years, have had 6 different doctors write that prescription, and not one doctor in over 20 years has done her blood work to see where she is.
Wow.
I know.
So that's the other advantage of having a studio like this, where it is really, again, so focused on women's health.
Yes.
But we're not excluding men. We know a lot of men that are really needing that testosterone too as they're aging. There's a lot of negative effects for men when theirs starts to go down, a lot of things that are really difficult. So you are offering testosterone for the men in our community too. How does the program vary for them?
With the women, usually it's a tiny, tiny pellet that is literally put in the fat at the flank. On, whichever side we go back and forth. A pellet will last between 4 and 6 months. With men, not every man is a client for that. I mean, take my husband. He is very muscular. He does not have a fat pad like I have. He doesn't have that fat pad. So some men need to be on injectables. But again, it is a controlled substance and it needs to be monitored extremely close. The FDA will only approve 30 days at a time, and any individual has to have complete blood work and an office visit every 6 months by federal regulations before they can even get a script. So, it's very, very well controlled. It's very easily dosed based on how you feel. But again, that's where monitoring comes into play. That's where blood work is done and we monitor it. If someone does not follow the protocol or the treatment plan, they are not part of the program then. That's it.
So one of the big differences from what I'm hearing is the women come in and they get an implant that lasts for months, but the men are more likely to get injectables and they come once a month for that?
If they do not want the pellets, then they literally need to be seen in the office after we get our initial, lay of the land. When someone comes in for a consult, then we send them for blood. Full panel blood work. Then they meet with our doctor or a nurse practitioner. They're either going to get their injectable or their insert. They have to go back for blood work 4 weeks later. That's when peak serum levels are. And then they have to come back to our office 2 weeks after that. And that's where we will sit down with them. It's not that way every single time, but again, it's a lot of time investment at the very front end so we can get you on cruise control after that. It just depends on what they prefer, depending on the individual and what they prefer. But again, only what is right and healthy for that person.
And you mentioned earlier something about your weight loss program. I know you have, is it a 12-week semaglutide?
Yes. We've had our protocol in place for over 2 years and we have been extremely successful. Our clients have done so great. We've made some hotties. We have made some hotties. But again, it's looking at whole picture. We always tell our clients a pound does not equal a pound. We're focused on losing body fat and maintaining lean tissue because remember, muscle is going to continue to burn calories. And we're really focused on habits that you're acquiring. And that, I think, is the key. Making sure this isn't about just losing weight and crossing your fingers that it's going to stay off. Because unless you work at it and you make these little changes, I tell my clients, motivation is not reliable, but habits are. So we're focused on making sure that they have good, healthy habits. Our 3D body scanner helps a lot of clients because they see the actual changes. You might not lose a lot of weight, but when you see, okay, I've only lost 4 pounds, but guess what? I lost 6 inches. That's a big deal. That's a motivator.
Yeah. And this is something that a lot of big sports centers have where there's really, highly trained athletes that need to be at a certain level. So to have this equipment that can do that 3D body scan is just unbelievable.
It's quite a diagnostic tool. We make sure our clients always get emailed a copy of every single scan. We've had clients bring it to their doctors. We've had doctors reach out to us. They're kind of floored because they see the progression and the positive impact it's having on our clients. I think anybody that's had a business has had what I call salty clients. And when you have that client come in and they look at you and say how pleased they are. It almost makes your day. I had one of those clients today and she was thrilled. She lost 3 more pounds and I could tell her by the scan, it was pure body fat. That doesn't seem a lot. And I think the last time I saw her was 4.5 weeks, but 3 pounds of pure body fat is a big deal.
Huge.
Huge. Because I think it translated to over 4.5 inches.
Wow. On top of all this,
Woo!
What led you down this path to get to the Total Wellness Studio was permanent makeup, and you're still doing that. And I'm curious, I know microblading is hugely popular. Again, as we age, we do tend to get thinning eyebrows, and that really makes, I read a Cosmopolitan article like 25 years ago that said the most important feature that defines your face is your eyebrows.
Absolutely. MIT did a study years ago and they took 100 celebrities and photoshopped off their eyebrows, and only about 41 to 45 were identified.
Wow.
I mean, these were like famous people. No one could identify them because they did not have eyebrows. It is so important. And I always tell my clients there are needs and wants. Well, you know what? When you have alopecia or you have an autoimmune disease and your eyebrows are gone, that's a need. It's not a want. We do, depending on, again, what the client needs, microblading or they need shading. We do upper eyeliner. We do lip blushing. We do all of that. And that kind of segued into doing areola restoration, which we work with some of the biggest plastic surgery offices in town, all the way from DC, Charlottesville, Virginia Beach. That to me is super important because, again, that's women's wellness, that the word has not gotten out. That's covered by insurance by law. We carry an MPI number, so our clients, when they get that procedure done, they can go to their insurance companies for reimbursement. And these ladies, they deserve it. It's kind of our mission to make sure that we get the word out there as much as possible. We will never stop doing that. But again, it's all in line with women's wellness.
It totally lines up. So if anyone knows someone that has gone through reconstructive surgery for breast cancer and they come out of that whole thing having breasts again, but they probably didn't get nipples included with it.
No.
And so this is where Kristin has figured out everything with insurance to help people get reimbursed and can take care of that final step in this journey.
I can't tell you how many women have told me that they are not doing double takes in the mirror anymore. And
going back to Bourbon Street.
That's right. Okay. So I'm probably on a prior podcast. I had a husband come up to me at the gym and tell me how beautiful his wife's breasts were, but they went to Bike Week in Florida and he finally had to tell her to keep her shirt down because she was flashing everyone. But he said he was so thrilled that she felt that confident that they looked that beautiful. And then I had a client tell me she was going to get beads in Mardi Gras, and she actually brought me back beads.
Wow.
She must have been flashing them.
I think there's an idea there that you might want to just have a bead collection in the room that you do.
Right?
The areola tattoos. Well, many amazing things going on at DermaHue. And one of the ones coming up is actually an expansion. So you are in a pretty nice space right now, size-wise, but with all these new things coming up, you're actually going to knock
down a wall,
the building beside you, right? So tell us about that.
So we are knocking down a wall. And let me tell you, it's very painful because that wallpaper is gorgeous. So it's got to go.
It is gorgeous.
There's a story behind that, but that's another day. But this wallpaper is gorgeous, but the wall has got to go. We have an opportunity to the space right next to us. It's really conducive to more of the clinical aspect. Being an NCAP, we have lots of windows. So with this space, it's more aligned with more of a doctor's office, smaller rooms, but more rooms. And we want to make sure our clients get the best. We want them comfortable. We want the most relaxing atmosphere. So we are going to have a designated area for aesthetics, and that will be Melissa's. We're going to have an area specifically for women's wellness and our hormone replacement. So if you go to the building on the right side, on the front of the building, it will say the Areola Restoration Center. Where we are now, that's going to stay the Areola Restoration Center. On the left side, we're going to be doing more of the medical clinical aspect of our business. I will say that, we've had clients follow us that have been with me for 8 or 9 years. And We love them all, and we take our customer service extremely seriously. We want the best for our clients. We want to make sure that it's economical, but the value is there and the service is there. And we just want to tell women of Richmond and beyond that we're there for them. We're the one-stop shop.
One-stop shop.
One-stop shop.
So DermaHue Total Wellness is on Mayland, just off Parham Road on the West End. For everybody that wants to get started with this, that, or the other, or all of the above, go to DermaHue.com. That's DermaHue.com. The first step for most of this is really having that initial consultation with DermaHue to find out exactly what makes the most sense for your wellness journey.
And all of our consultations, every single one is always complimentary. We believe that if you're going to be part of the family, we want you to have all the education, all the information that you need, and we want you to get to know us. So absolutely book a free consultation. We'd love to meet you.
Amazing. And thank you for stopping by.
Thank
Kristin.
you, Jess.
Thanks for listening to River City Podcasts. If you're interested in setting up a podcast for your business, go to rivercityconsulting.com.